Now, teacher is going to take the textbook. Let us get back to what teacher was teaching. We are today starting with the new section, working with language. Working with the text is over. So we move on to working with language. Working with language. See, it is very interesting. These are all activity, you know, so interesting. Working with language. Look at your textbook. The page number is 17. Can you see page number on the screen? Teacher is sharing. Take page number 17. Page number 17. Yes, in your textbook. Working with language. Yes. Look at these sentences from the story. See, even the grammar exercises are linked to the story. You know, the sentences are taken from the story and we move on with the grammar. You will not know that you are studying grammar. So interesting, children. Now, all of you stop writing. All of you, I hope you finished writing and you have kept the test paper book far away. Now you are checking now at working with the language. Look at these sentences from the story. I spotted it in a junk shop in Bridport. The man said it was made in the early 19th century. This one was in a bad condition. Look at these sentences. Yes, you read the sentence in your mind. Teacher read the sentence. Did you notice something? It is past tense. Past tense is used here. Listen. How do you understand? From the verb, you understand the tense used is past tense. Look at the verbs given. Spotted. Verbs are action words, as you know. Spotted. Okay. Teacher spotted a child talking in class. Spotted. Spotted is the action verb. So action word. So that is the verb here. And the verb, the tense of the verb shows it is in the past tense. I spotted, ed form. I spotted it in a junk shop in Bridport. Underline spotted in your textbook. Now, next sentence. The man said. The man said. The root word is say. Say. In the past tense it becomes said. The man said it was made in the early 19th century. And in the first sentence, the root word is spot. Spot becomes past tense, spotted. And say becomes past tense, said. And now we move on to the third sentence. This one was in a bad condition. Yes, was is another action verb. It shows a state of being. It is included in action verbs. Okay, that is it shows state of being. It is a verb. So was is in the past tense. What is the present tense or the root form? It is this one is in a bad condition. Or you can say present tense is, past tense is, was, spot, spotted, and say, said. From the beginning, spot, spotted, say, said, is, was. Look at the different forms of past tense. See, in the first word, spot, to make it a past tense, you added ed. And in the second word, say, you added id. And in the third word, you added, a complete change. Is becomes was. Okay, so you know past tense. We are not dwelling too much on past tense. You are in 8th standard. Tense, past tense, present tense and future tense is basic, okay? We are moving on to guess. You guess. Yes, who can guess which part we are moving to? We are not going to present perfect. We are going to past perfect. We are moving on to past perfect. When is past perfect used? Are you listening to teacher? We are moving to past perfect section. So, you are raising your level from past tense in 7th standard. You are moving to past perfect. Past perfect, you can see, as it is so, if you understand well. Past perfect is used for the earlier action. If there are two actions, for the earlier action, the first action, you will use past perfect. The first action, when there are two past actions in a sentence, and the first past action gets the past perfect, and the second past action will be in the simple past. Okay, let us find out. Don't forget what teacher told you just now. This is very important basic rule of grammar. Now, see this, the italicized verbs. What is the meaning of italicized verbs? That means, can you spot it? The italicized words are written in a slanting way, a slanting way. S-P-O-T-T-E-D is printed in a slanting way, and S-A-I-D said is printed in a slanting way, and W-A-S is printed in a slanting way. You have to have an eye for small detail. I love students who have such an eye. The italicized verbs are in the past tense. You know, we read it. That is spotted, said, and was. They tell us what happened in the past. That is before now. Before this moment of time, it is past tense. And so, you get the past tense. Spotted, said, was. Now, we move on to read the passage below. All of you should read in your mind while teacher is telling you. Read the passage below. Look in your textbook and very carefully follow this. This is very important. Read the passage below and underline the words in the past tense. Okay? You are going to do that now? Yes, you will get teacher's help, but I will give you just 1 minute. Okay, no need for any 1 minute. You read, we will read together the passage, and I will start the countdown from 10 to 1. By the time you will have finished, what? You will have finished underlining the past tense verbs. We will read first. Before underlining, we will read first. A man got on the train and sat down. The compartment was empty except for one lady. She took her gloves off. A few hours later, the police arrested the man. They held him for 24 hours and then freed him. Shall we find out the past tenses? You start underlining, children. You are all smart children. Okay, so let me also do it on the board with you. Let me check. A man got. Underline got. Yes. Underline got. Got is the past tense of get. A man got on the train and sat. Underline sat. Sat is the past tense of sit. The compartment was empty. Underline the word was, and the present tense of was is. The past tense is was. Underline was. And then comes, let us read once more. The compartment was, underline was, empty except for one lady. Next sentence. She took. Underline took. Took is the past tense of take. Took is the past tense of take. So underline took. So the next sentence teacher will read. I will not say the answers. I will start the countdown. You will finish doing it. A few hours later, the police arrested the man. They held him for 24 hours and then freed him. Okay, these two sentences, from a few hours till freed him, you have to find the past tense verbs. Okay, start doing. The countdown starts now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. I know you finished doing. So, a few hours later, the police arrested. Did you underline arrested? Arrested is the past tense of arrest. And they held him. Underline H-E-L-D, held. Yes, held is the past tense of hold. And for 24 hours. And then freed. Underline freed. Yes, freed is the past tense of free. F-R-E-E. Now look at these sentences. Now children, we are going deep into this part. We are touching the surface of which part? Past perfect. First, the introduction part was past tense, and we move on to past perfect. Let's find out. I told you, I broke the suspense before reading from here. I told you past perfect takes the first action. When there are two actions, the two past actions, the first past action which is completed, the first past action takes the past perfect, perfectly completed, past perfect. Let's find out the first action. Out of the two actions given, the first action takes the past perfect tense. Let's find out. Now look at these sentences. These sentences far from the textbook. So intelligently they have linked this grammar part to the textbook lesson. Okay. So you have already read this. The veneer had lifted almost everywhere. Okay. Underline had lifted. That is the past perfect form. The past tense is lifted and past perfect form is had lifted. Now, both fire and water had taken. Underline had taken. These are earlier actions. In a conversation, we start with past tense, and the actions which happened earlier are put in past perfect. Now, both fire and water had taken. Underline had taken. Notice the verb forms had lifted, had taken. The author, okay, they are explaining. See, the people who wrote the text is explaining now how it came to be in the past perfect. How come these ones are earlier actions? That is why these actions got the past perfect. How? The author found and bought the desk in the past. Simple past tense. Found, bought. The author found and bought the desk in the past. The desk was damaged before the author found it and bought it. The desk, earlier action of damaging. Okay, so it takes like fire and water, had damaged. Earlier happening. So the fire and water had damaged the desk before the author found it and bought it. Okay, what is happening in when the writer is speaking? He is finding it and bringing it. Okay, so found it, bought it. But had damage. Who damaged? Earlier something happened, and so had damage. Damaged gets past perfect. So had damage. Fire and water had damaged the desk before the author found it and bought it. Okay, finding and buying comes together. He found it, he bought it. Okay, the past actions. So the earlier action gets the past action. And next, listen very carefully. This is the basic of grammar. We use verb forms like had damaged for an event in the earlier past. Underline earlier past, earlier past. Say in your mind, repeat in your mind, earlier past, past perfect, earlier past, past perfect, earlier past. If there are two events in the past, we use the had form for the event that occurred first in the past. If there are two, maybe more than two, but you will use for the earlier action, the first action, you will use past perfect. The second action, third action will get, past tense, simple past tense. Now, the next point, important, we also use the past perfect tense to show that something was wished for. Okay, teacher wished for something and expected before a particular time in the past. Two past actions are given, and teacher wished for something, and that will be given. The wish will be given in the past perfect. For example, I had always wanted one. Teacher had always wanted. Look at the participants list, and teacher had always wanted students like you. Teacher had always wanted students like you. So disciplined, So intelligent. You do your work on time. I'm so happy about you. Teacher had always, this is heaven on earth. I tell you, class 8, it is your teacher saying, your teacher appreciating you. Saying this sentence, teacher had always wanted students like you. I had always, my wish, you know what? That something was wished for. In the past, see, in that just one verb is there, but something related, you are relating to the past thought. So it is understood. I had always wanted one. Teacher had always wanted. Students, in the past, the thought was, yes, the thought is like this, that is recorded. I had always wanted one. Teacher had always wanted students like you. Next, discuss with your partner the difference in meaning in the sentences below. Before that, let me tell you, there are two places where past perfect is used according to the this textbook, Honeydew textbook, for the first lesson. It is for an earlier action. When there are two or more past actions, the earlier action gets the past perfect. So, next is to show what you expected in the past. See, expected before a particular time in the past. Okay, I had always wanted one. There will be a particular time in the past, and before that particular time, that will be, see, I had always wanted one. Teacher had always wanted students like you. Yes. Discuss with your partner the difference in meaning in the sentences below. This is group activity, but we cannot go into that. So, we will discuss it here. When I reached the station, the train left. Intelligent ones will surely get this. When I reached the station, simple past tense. When I reached the station, the train left. Time. The point of time is made clear when you read the two sentences. In the first sentence, I reached the station, the train left. Both actions are taking place at the same time. The two past actions taking place at the same time. You just imagine in your mind, you reaching the station, the train leaving. Both actions taking place at the same time. Now, come to the second sentence. So interesting. I challenge you to understand this if you are intelligent. When I reached the station, the train had left. So, here there is past perfect. You understand? The first action is the train leaving, and the second action is you reaching the station. The first action says the train had left. So, the train had left, and then only you reach the station. In the first sentence, I reached the station, the train left. At the same time, both happenings are happening. And see, in the second sentence, see this, first action happening early, and it gets past perfect. Okay, the train had left when I reached the station. I hope all of you understood. We will do more exercises, and so many exercises which will make you thorough with past perfect. Easy, children, easy. I tell you, not because you will find it easy, I'm telling you. Now, next is fill in the blanks using the correct form of the verbs in brackets. Correct form of the verbs in brackets. What could it be? Either past tense or past perfect tense. Let's find out. My little sister is very naughty. See, here it is his present tense. My little sister, now the present time. My little sister is very naughty. When she came back from school yesterday, earlier action, she came back from school. And before she came back from school, now comes the earlier actions, which will get past perfect. She had torn her dress. Right there. Had torn. H-A-D-T-O-R-N. T-O-R-N. H-A-D-T-O-R-N. I will tell you, it is not past tense that you will use with the had. For making past perfect, you have to use a past participle. So, tear past tense is tore and the past participle is torn. Don't forget, you have to use a past participle. So, she had torn her dress. Don't worry, teacher will be explaining more and more. She had torn her dress because tearing the dress is earlier action before she came back to her house. Okay, it happened before in school. So, she had torn her dress. You should know to compartmentalize or separate actions which happened before, actions which happened at the time of speaking, and okay, so that is it. So, she had torn her dress. We had asked her how it had happened. Okay, we asked her. Check this. We asked her. That means we asked her how it had happened. The happening happened before. The happening happened before. We asked her. Simple present tense, because it happened after we asked. See, we asked her how it had happened. The happening happened before we asked her. So, we asked her, we asked, past tense, how it had happened. She said. She said is simple past tense. And so now you will understand some things are coming which happened before. Yes, she said she had quarreled. She had quarreled. Quarreled is, mind you children, attention. Quarreled, had quarreled is not past tense. It is quarreled. The word quarreled is past participle used here. Quarreled is past participle. Don't make a mistake by adding past tense and past participle. Don't confuse it, because you have to use the past participle. Sometimes the past tense and the past participle are the same. So don't confuse. After had, to form past perfect after had, you will use past participle, not past tense. You have to use a past participle. So, she had quarreled with a boy. She said. That is the second action. She had quarreled with a boy. Had quarreled is the first action. And she had beaten him in a race. What is beaten? She had, defeated. She had beaten him. She had beaten. Are you writing this down in your textbook? She had beaten him in a race. Write this in your textbook. In the blanks you fill it. She had, had, beaten, B-E-A-T-E-N. Okay, she had beaten him in a race, and he had tried. Earlier action. And he had, and he had, yes, he had, H-A-D, had tried. He had tried, T-R-I-E-D, tried to push her. She had, let us move to the next page. She had told the teacher. She had told the teacher. And so he had chased. He had chased. H-A-D, had, C-H-A-S-C-D, had chased her. And she had fallen. What's the past participle of fall? Fallen. What's the past tense? Fell. And she had, so you will use participle, past participle. And she had fallen down and had torn her dress. And had torn her dress. You will all write this down. And let me show you one more thing. Yes, teacher will show you. Okay, teacher will send it teacher will send it on parent app. Now it is time for me to wind up. We will continue in the next class also the same thing. Meanwhile, teacher will correct the test paper, send it to me either on email, my email, or on my WhatsApp number. Teacher will give it through teacher will give it through parent app. Check parent app. Teacher will give all the IDs and the phone numbers. Okay, so children, so bye. Have a nice weekend and get ready for the next period. I think it is break time now. So you are going to take a break now and get ready for the next period, that is geography period. Hindu teacher is ready, but please wait for the break to get over. See you children. Bye. Have a nice weekend.